y'all. Grease is the word. Word that you heard. It's got groove, it's got meaning.
Hey everyone, welcome to Tuesday Live with Kim. I'm just so excited to be back with everyone. Tonight we are actually going to talk about DoorDash contract violations. I know I've gotten a couple. I want to actually see whether you guys have gotten a couple as well. But is it really even a thing anymore? Is it something we even care about? Are we desensitized to them as well? And if you do receive one, should you fight back against DoorDash? I have even my own, war story, so to speak, to share with you guys tonight. So I'll kind of give you guys my own personal perspective on these contract violations because they were just never fun to get whatsoever. So we're going to dive right into it. Before we even dive into it, I know, a couple of you guys out there, you're going to have to really let me know. Have you ever received a contract violation, and how many in total during your whole entire career of DoorDash have you actually received? Go ahead, leave it in the comments or leave it in the chat, however you're watching this. I'm actually just curious. And also, before we even get started, I am also streaming on Twitter and also on Instagram. I apologize, we're not integrated with StreamYard yet, so we can't see your comments, but please feel free to chat amongst yourselves. And then Twitter, I can actually see comments as well. So just a couple of ground rules before we actually get started. So those pesky contract violations, if you guys don't know, give you a little bit of backstory on some of these contract violations. So there's really two ways of getting them. First of all, one is late deliveries, and the second one is when the customer says that their order has not been delivered, even though you might have already delivered it, right? So those are the two that we're really going to really dive into tonight. I personally have not received, knock on wood, yet a contract violation for one that a customer has not been, received the order. So that's fantastic news for that. But my number is I've received 2 contract violations over the past 5, maybe 6 years that I've actually been going out and doing DoorDash. Like I said, one was, I'm going to say a little bit of my fault, and one was completely a DoorDash issue altogether. And I'm going to, like I said, I'm going to share my stories a little bit later in this live. So you're going to want to stick around for them and see whether my stories can somewhat match your stories as well. But both of mine were for late deliveries. In my opinion, out of my control, but we'll talk about that as well, and whether you should actually fight back. So late orders, when I was doing some research on this, and I went onto the DoorDash platform itself just to really see what they actually have to say, is they really say that anything that they consider excessive is considered late, whether it's arriving to the restaurant or arriving to the customer's house. Okay, so to me, what DoorDash really doesn't want you to know, at least in my opinion, is the minutes that you're considered late. Like, I feel, we're talking DoorDash here. They do nothing really upfront. But wouldn't it be nice as drivers if you knew that, okay, I have 10 minutes to get to the restaurant, which, by the way, I personally think it's 10 minutes. And that's the rule I've been following since I started DoorDash with over 11,000 deliveries on DoorDash. I always follow the 10-minute rule altogether. If I'm not going to make it there within being 10 minutes late, I'll probably use one of my unassigns to get rid of the order so I don't receive a contract violation. But yeah, they do exist. And drivers, I feel like that's the most common one. So have you guys in the chat, or you can leave it in the comments. Have you guys ever received a contract violation for being late? Go ahead, I'll wait. I want to see if anybody out there was just like me, and that's the contract violation that you actually received. So, with that being said, I don't know. I feel like a lot of times when it comes to this one, it's very subjective because there could be a lot of reasons why you can be late for a delivery. So I'm going to share with you guys my first story of the night with my late delivery. So my very first contract violation, I'm going to paint a fantastic picture for each and every one of you guys today. So it was Cinco de Mayo, and this was maybe 3 years ago-ish, but it was Cinco de Mayo, and I remember it just like it was yesterday. Isn't it sad that you remember all the negative things that actually happened to you? But anyway, it was Cinco de Mayo, and I had just started, and it was the very first order I took for the entire day. And I was on my way. It was a Chipotle order. We were in like a kick butt peak pay, and I was just excited to go out and make money. So with that being said, I go to the restaurant, and I know you guys don't know my area, but picture a train station in the middle of your town that can actually back up an entire town just based off of one train station. Now, the trains that are around me in New Jersey are like New York commuter trains. So going into the city, going out of the city, and stops in between. So I'm going, and coast is clear, about ready to go over the tracks, and the gates come down. I'm like, oh, okay, no big deal. Usually they're pretty quick, drop off and get out of the station. Yeah, not this time. So I'm waiting, and the train's not leaving. I'm like, what the heck? So I'm getting nervous, but whatever. I'm waiting for the train. And then another train pulls in the opposite direction. So one coming in, one going out. And I'm just not, and like they're taking forever. Like it literally probably stopped me, and I'm probably being dramatic. I'm going to say like 10 to 20 minutes. And I think that's probably more realistic. So finally the trains go, and I'm on my way. I'm just so excited just to get to the restaurant because I want to get there. And what I failed to forget to tell you is in the meantime, I was communicating with DoorDash. I actually called DoorDash and said, hey, I am stuck at a train station. It's not moving. And they assured me they would put it in my notes, that they would make note of it on my account, assured me, you name it. So I'm like, okay, I'm good. Get to the restaurant, pick up my order, get it delivered. And by the way, there was traffic. This poor customer, I did communicate with the customer the entire time, apologizing. They were just grateful they were getting their Chipotle on Cinco de Mayo. So with that being said, I get to the house. The customer, I'll say, give me a $5 tip. So that was actually pretty awesome, right? But the situation at hand, I closed out the order, and immediately contract violation. I'm like, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Like, wouldn't you like shake your head because you communicated with DoorDash, you communicated with the customer, you think you did everything correctly on their end. I mean, on my end, I should say, and contract violation. I was mad. I was like raging mad. And I really don't get mad. Hopefully you guys know that by me by now. But I usually don't get mad. I was mad. So of course you get the email, and it's also, on your screen that has your metrics, and you have to fill out the form. I stated everything that was wrong. Now, the funny thing is even during that time, I was still doing ride-alongs, and I actually had a video of the trains and me at the train station because I thought it was actually funny for a video for a ride-along, and having you guys like laugh at me and make fun of me. Well, I submitted the picture of that from the video. Yeah, my contract violation stuck. They actually really didn't give I was going to say a bad word. I won't. It's family friendly. They didn't give a hoot about whether I was stopped at a train station. I think what was even getting me more riled up is they could follow me on GPS. Like, you can clearly see I was like in the middle of a train station, but yet, nope, contract violation stuck, and I had to complete my 100 deliveries in order to get it done. So that was like my very first contract violation story about late. So if you can learn anything from me, and I guess the one thing I will semi-blame myself for is when I was at the train station, even communicating with DoorDash, is I never really paid attention to the pickup times. So if there's one thing that I can like encourage everybody on any order, pay attention to the times up top, because if you are, as DoorDash says, excessive late, then it really could lead to a contract violation, and you definitely don't want that. So anyway, so the second form of contract violations that we can all get is your order was not delivered. And though I've never received a contract violation for this one, I feel like this is honestly the most frustrating one a driver can get, because to me, this means that a customer in this particular situation wants something for free at the expense of their driver. And how wrong is that altogether? I think it's just so darn wrong. Don't get me wrong. If a driver really did steal a customer's food or did not deliver it and kept it for themselves, don't get me wrong, they deserve not even a contract violation. Honestly, they really deserve to be deactivated completely from platform, at least in my opinion. So, customers, that's the only thing I can say, customers. I just feel like it's a very selfish thing for a customer to do. And it really puts the driver in the hot seat. And I think what DoorDash, in my opinion, does not want a lot of their drivers and even customers to know is, it's guilty until proven innocent, right? And I feel like that's the case in this. Like, DoorDash points the finger at the driver and says, you are guilty because the customer said so. They will always take the side of the customer. And I think that's what really gets me upset about these contract violations, because I'm going to say probably 90% of the time, it's not the driver, yet DoorDash does nothing about the customer. And you always talk to other drivers in your community, even talking to you guys a lot of the time, and you guys sending me either chats through Instagram or even emails, is you go to call support and they answer, right? And they're sometimes the most frustrating people to really talk to, because you just want to vent what happened to you, and you ask them, where's my picture? You say you actually insert a picture and they don't see it, or you message the customer your picture through in-app messages or even through a text. And don't let DoorDash fool you. They can pull up all of their messages, and also even text messages, because you attached a picture, right? But yet DoorDash didn't even take a look at that. They just decided to give you a contract violation. I think that's really, honestly, yeah, DoorDash, guilty before checking. You are absolutely correct. I don't agree with that. I guess, and maybe this is, more independent contractor versus employee. Even like the worst employer out in the world investigates something before just going out and either, writing up an associate or writing up an employee or terminating it. Like, no, this is just, nope, this is your violation. And I just think it's just unfair treatment, at least for me, according to drivers. So anyway. So you guys are going to have to let me know, which one of these contract violations have you gotten? Have you gotten the late contract violation, or have you gotten the order not delivered violation? Go ahead, let me know. I want to hear from each and every one of you. And also let me know, have you guys ever really had a contract violation? It's okay to say no. It's a good thing if you've never received a contract violation. And another thing is, one thing DoorDash actually really never lets you know, or in my case, I don't think they really put that information out there, hence transparency, is how many contract violations actually get you deactivated. I'm just curious, right? Like they don't tell you. They just said, many contract violations can lead up to deactivation. Really? So, funny story, and I'm going to make this like kind of in short, but I was talking to another driver in my area, right? Gift of gab. And that's what I do. So, guys, I encourage you to really talk to your drivers. You can learn some really valuable information from other drivers, whether it's DoorDash, other platforms, what platforms they're using. You can actually learn some really good stuff. So if you're sitting waiting, make friends with your fellow drivers. Anyway, I don't know how we got into the conversation, but we were talking about our metrics. And he pulled out his phone and showed me his metrics. And I just looked and like, I don't even know how he's on the DoorDash platform, because he was like the cliche that if you looked at his screen, you would be like, this is how not to do DoorDash. So it's ready for this. So does anybody know? You're going to have to let me know. Actually, put it in the chat. We'll do a guessing game. I know the answer. I'll check to see whether you guys know the answer. Customer service scores. What do you need on DoorDash to get you deactivated from DoorDash? Go ahead, put it in the comments or chat right now. Yeah, so I won't even tell you what it is. I'm just going to tell you what this gentleman's customer service score was. 3.8. 3.8. Can you believe that? 3.8. How is this person with a customer service score of 3.8 still on the platform? Right? Okay, so we'll get past customer service. Acceptance rate, no big deal. We all can debate this acceptance rate until the cows come home. But he was at a 23% acceptance rate. So, that's probably in line with a lot of drivers that are out there. But the funny thing is, and this is before also completion rates, before this was like 90% in my area. So the completion rate was at 79%. You're supposed to be deactivated at that time at 80%. Now it's 90%, but at the time it was 80%. It was at 79%. So the funny thing is, and this is where the whole moral of my story, I guess this story really isn't that short. Yeah, he had 4 contract violations. So let me know, should this driver, do you think he should have already been deactivated from the platform? 4 contract violations, 3.8 customer service rating. To me, right there, like you shouldn't even, like, why are you even doing DoorDash? Why are you even doing any platform at that point? 3 point, I just couldn't get it for the 3.8. But anyway, 4 contract violations. So it kind of goes in like, why was he still on the platform? And I guess this is the thing, and I feel like DoorDash is very hypocritical when it comes to this stuff, is, they'll deactivate any single driver for no just cause and just literally kick you off the platform, and you don't even know why you are deactivated from the platform. You just get the deactivation email, but yet you have a driver like that has a 3.84 contract violations, and yet they're still on the platform. Does that actually make sense to any single driver out there. Does that make sense to you? Let me know. Does that make sense to you? Because that absolutely does not make sense to me, right? So those to me are a couple of things that, DoorDash doesn't want drivers to know, but I feel like knowledge is power, right? So when you really get to know DoorDash and you get to know a lot of their games, their mind games, the way they think, like I feel like you can more empower yourself when it comes to situations like this. But this kind of goes back to the beginning. Do you really think, like, are contract violations a thing anymore? Like before, I feel like when I first started, like when I first got my first contract violation, like I'm gonna get deactivated. I know I'm gonna get like I was so paranoid, and I took it personally because I'm like, me, I'm a good driver. I got a contract violation. Like I was so offended. So I feel like a lot of times, and maybe even content creators, including myself, like we're like, it's a bad thing. So we talk about it. So, but like you don't really even hear it anymore. Do you think that contract violations are like a big thing? Or do they throw so many contract violations at drivers that you're like, yeah, just another contract violation. Yeah, it happens. I just have to do 100 more deliveries to get rid of it. No big deal. The one thing I think drivers, in my opinion, need to particularly be on the lookout for. And I personally do not do this, but I know a lot of drivers who do what's called dirty multi-apping, which means you're taking a couple of orders on different platforms, not even on the same platforms, even if they are going the same way. But because of lateness and a lot of contract violations, a lot of times drivers are getting deactivated. So, it's just another form. So I'll always say, I'm never going to stand in the way. Go make your money, do whatever you need to do. I personally am not a fan of it, nor will I ever do it. But be careful because it really can lead to some of these late contract violations and could lead to termination. So, like I said, knowledge is power, right? So, in my case of the very first one that I did, obviously a lot of these contract violations are AI generated, right? So you have a computer saying, okay, this person is 11 minutes late, not 10 minutes late, automatic contract violation. This person is blank, automatic contract violation. This customer reported and just in the app, a customer just has to hit that little question mark and just report that the order was not delivered. Contract violation. I feel like a lot of times contract violations is they're AI generated, right? There's no human interaction. There's no human connection. There's no humanity behind any of these contract violations, which, even in my case, like not understanding that I got caught at a train station. I mean, there's so many reasons. You could be sitting in God forever traffic because there's an accident on the highway and it's just not moving. Like there's so many reasons. And when I did my video about one of my contract violations, and I'll still remember this, and forgive me because I can't remember the person who made the comment, but his wife at the time did DoorDash, and he does DoorDash too, and she was out working DoorDash, and this is during the summer, and she heard the tornado warnings because they lived out in the Midwest, so everybody went to shelter, including herself. So she let DoorDash know, hey, we have to go into shelter. She had the food. It was already confirmed. It was in her car, but safety, obviously, the number one priority at that time. But after delivery, she got a contract violation for being late. Really, DoorDash? Like someone is in the middle of a tornado warning. A tornado actually did touch down and it was miles away from them. And thank God they were safe. But come on, like there has to be, in my opinion, some sort of humanity, or at least in the appeal process. Like I just feel like the appeal process, and you guys are going to have to let me know, those of you who had a contract violation, did you when you went through the appeal process, did you feel like it was ever going to get overturned? Because I, as soon as I submit it, I'm like, it's going to stick. No one's going to honestly read this. No one's going to give a crap whether I was stuck at a train station. Like, I just feel like it's a formality. Do you guys feel like it's a formality of some sort? Let me know how you guys feel about the form that you actually have to fill out, because I just feel like it's a formality to make drivers mentally feel better about their contract violation, and it does absolutely nothing. In medical terms, to me, it's a placebo effect. Now we'll make them feel like they're special. They got to say they got they got to fill out a form. It makes them feel all special. Yeah, not so much. At least that's how I feel. I just feel like it's a formality. Oh, so yours got turned over and went away. I think you, like, Cheyenne, I think you're one of like the first drivers I've actually seen that actually got it overturned. Well, congratulations. I'm not going to say that because I'm going to go into my second violation in just a second, because mine got overturned as well. Okay, Steve, I'm not going to answer that. Anyway, um, with that being said, so let's get into. See, yours was 11 minutes. Mine was 11 minutes too. I arrived at Chipotle 11 minutes late, and bam, contract violation. I'm a little jealous. You got yours overturned, and I didn't. But they say live and learn, and I definitely lived and learned for my second contract violation. Okay, so here's my second contract violation. And this was probably about the same contract violation as well. So, about the same timing, I should say. So, in this particular situation, I took an order and I was doing, and this is like 2, 3 years ago when, Top Dasher isn't what it was as we know it today. And you brought your acceptance rate down to like 2 or 3%. And then the last week of the month, you literally raised it back up to where it needed to be for Top Dasher. So I was doing one of my climbs to Top Dasher, had to be at it by the end of the month. And I took an order that I'm like, I really don't want to take this, but I'm doing the climb. So suck it up, Buttercup, here I come. And it was a Dunkin' order. It was going 8 miles away. I'm like, okay. The only good thing is drop off was literally a mile away from the pickup. So, okay, here I come. Only thing is, and I did notice this because I learned from my last time, looked at the pickup time, it was giving me 3 minutes to get 8 miles away. According to GPS, it was going to take me 15 minutes to get there. And normally, in most circumstances, DoorDash takes away, or at least adjust the time. At least that's what I've gotten from a lot of times I've taken orders like that. Well, I picked up the order and I just had, like, you just know you had that feeling. Like, I had this feeling this order is just not going to go right. Dropped it off. Yeah, contract violation immediately. I'm like, son of a, oh, okay. So this time I'm like, no, DoorDash, it's not going to happen. So immediately I did the form and I filled it out. And I'm like, no, it's going to get removed today. Like, I was not going to take no for an answer. And to me, it was completely unacceptable because I feel like I did DoorDash a solid by taking that order. I felt like I took an order that no one else wanted to take. And I was a Top Dasher sucker and I ended up taking it. And I'm like, nope. So I got on the phone with one support associate and they gave you the whole speech. You have to fill out the form. That's the only thing you can do. I'm like, nope, unacceptable. I need someone else. And they wouldn't give me someone else. Fine, I hung up on the, didn't hang up on them. I said, okay, thank you, have a good day. And I called back. And I spoke to another associate. They gave me the same speech. You have to fill out the form. And I said, well, I filled out the form. Now what happens? And they couldn't tell me a direct answer. They gave me a very vague, and I'm like, nope, not the answer I'm looking for. So I got to the third associate. He was actually very helpful. He went further than the other ones did. He actually pulled up the timestamp of when I received the order. He even pulled up the order and the time that it was supposed to be picked up. And he's like, oh, you can't get to the restaurant in that amount of time. I said, no, I cannot. He's like, but I can't do anything on my end to overturn your contract violation. I'm like, great. I finally got someone who was actually knowledgeable enough to know this stuff, and he still can't help me. So I said, I need your supervisor. And now when you call, for some reason you can't get connected to a supervisor. You actually have to wait for them to call back. And this is a good question for you guys. Let me know in the chat. Have you asked to speak to a supervisor lately when you've called support and they tell you to call, they'll call you back and never call you back? I can't tell you how many times that has happened, and you actually have to keep following up and following up and following up until someone actually calls you. It's actually very annoying. Besides the point. So finally got to my second supervisor, and they sent it to the escalation team. I'm like, sure you are. How many times have you called support? And like, I feel like that's another script that they have. We're going to send it up to the escalation team. Doesn't even know what the escalation team is. I feel like it's a made up team that DoorDash uses just to get people off the phone or get DoorDash drivers off the phone. Is that just me? Because I feel like it's just a made up thing. So anyway, I didn't believe the supervisor, but an hour later, my contract violation was removed. Thank God. So I guess this is my whole entire point and what we're kind of coming down to in kind of the last portion of this is, should you fight back contract violations? To me, I didn't the very first time I got one. I really didn't fight it because I'm like, okay, even though the train situation wasn't my fault, should I have paid a little bit more attention to the times on what time I was supposed to pick up? Yeah, probably. I probably should have known it. And, if I was going to be more than 10 minutes late, I probably should have unassigned it. But by me communicating with DoorDash, honestly, I didn't feel the need to unassign it. So, I guess partial of it, I'll say, was my wrongdoing, but I didn't know to fight back as hard as I did until the second one. And the second one, I'm like, nope, I am not taking no for an answer. So I guess my rule of thumb would be for you guys, if you know you're in the wrong and you show up to a restaurant late and it was your fault, own it. At least that's what I would do. Own it, take your 100 deliveries and call it a day, because technically it really was your fault. But if you know you were not wrong, train, tornado, DoorDash's wrong timing, God, whatever, a customer reported a delivery and you had a picture actually attached to the delivery, no. Fight it. And the one thing I feel like I've learned over the past 11,000 deliveries I've done with DoorDash is never take no for an answer. If you call support, and this could be anything that you want a direct answer to, because let's face it, DoorDash support is not the most direct answers that you're looking for. And you kind of have to weed through in order to get what you're looking for or get to the right support associate. Keep calling back. I know it might be annoying. I know it might be time consuming, but sometimes it's worth it if you're going to get the results that you are actually looking for. And Yeah, and I think that's the biggest thing. So for a full-time driver, so for me, it took me like a week and a couple of days, so I'll say a week and a half. Full-timer can probably bang it out, week and a half, maybe 2 weeks. But if you're a part-time driver, which 90% of you DoorDash drivers out there are part-time, I'm telling you, it's hard to do 100 deliveries. Like it could almost take you a month, 2 months to actually get them removed. And I apologize ahead of time if that's, but unfortunately, I feel like with contract violations, like don't be one of those drivers that are naive to think, oh, it's never going to happen to me. I'm a good driver. Well, you know what? I was a good driver too, and it still happened to me in cases that I'll say it really wasn't my fault, and it could really not be your fault. You can't control what a customer reports as undelivered. I mean, the only thing you can do is really just cover your butts and take pictures of literally of everything. If a customer gives you a hand it to me, I mean, a leave at door and they're waiting for you at the door because they want their food, I'll be honest, I take a picture with them with their food in their hand. Or if I can't do that, like I'll take a picture of the house number so they at least have recollection that I was actually at their house. If the customer is a hand it to me and they're not answering the door, so God, that's so freaking frustrating. I start the timer as soon as I pull up. I'm not waiting around for the customer. But it also covers your own butt because it shows DoorDash that they were not there for delivery. There are just so many scams out there. Don't be a victim. Always take a picture. I think that's like literally, if I can give anybody advice when it comes to DoorDash, cover your own butt. You never know. Like, I know I'm used to it because of, YouTube videos and, community posts with you guys, but I screenshot every single order to cover my own butt. God forbid, DoorDash glitches and they don't know the order in, or you need to prove that you got one price and was promised another. I always take a screenshot of every single order. I take a photo of every single drop off. I now have a dash cam with display ride, which is fantastic, that automatically gets uploaded to the iCloud. I use the video. I have video of almost every single drop off. So if you don't have a dash cam, I recommend you doing dash cam. Display ride also does body cams, which I have that as well. But cover your own butts, whatever you need to do. Even if it's your phone and you want to use the timestamp app, do whatever you need to do. And they always say a picture is definitely worth 1,000 words. Yeah, you take a picture of them, Anthony, from your car, and do whatever you need to do. Like I said, customers are crazy. There's some crazy people out there who want something for free. Don't be that person that they get something for free off of. But pictures, cover your own butt. I know I keep, rattling on and saying the same thing, but I feel like it's definitely worth mentioning. So, customer scams, be careful. Don't let them get to you because I feel like during, the times when, we were in lockdown and in particular situations, I feel like customers it was like a big thing to either get tipated on Uber Eats or, they said that their order was not delivered on DoorDash. Those were like the biggest scams going on. And you would think, 4 years later, we would be over this and DoorDash would literally be on top of it. So, customers wouldn't be a getaway. Do you think like they would have updated something for the customers that would prevent them from doing that? Nope. 4 years later, here we are still talking about the same thing. It kind of just makes you shake your head. But anyway, guys, that is contract violations in a nutshell. So, one last, question for you guys, contract violations they just stink. But customer scams are worse. Have you guys ever been scammed by a customer? And it doesn't even have to be contract violations. It could be any scam by a customer, just because I feel like those are really, good stories to share. Because I feel like there's a lot out of them. The latest one that I had was a couple months ago when a customer tried to add on like 6 more items to their 1 item order and have me deliver it for free. I'm like, no, not gonna happen. But they're still out there, so just be careful. And guys, I am going to leave you guys with that one last thought, right? So thank you guys so much for joining me tonight and talking about contract violations. I really appreciate each and every one of you for being here tonight. So guys, if you're driving, stay safe out there. Always remember, kindness is always free. Guys, if you loved this live stream, if you love this video, if you're seeing it on the replay, help a girl out. Smash that like button. There's a couple of you guys here right now, and those of you who are watching the replay, it helps my channel out in so many different ways. And don't forget, kindness is always free. I love you guys, and I'll see you in the next live or video. Bye, everyone.